What is up, guys? Metal Sonic Dude here, back again with another video on Marvel Contest of Champions. Today's video will be about Silver Surfer. Now, Silver Surfer, been a lot of controversy over this man throughout the community about whether he's a good champion, whether you should invest resources into Silver Surfer. I know he's a prestige monkey, highest prestige, a 5-star in the game, and is a 6-star rank 3. But is he worth your time and effort in terms of the long run, or is he just going to sit on the bench for life? That's what I'm here to answer. I'm going to give you a pros and cons list of Silver Surfer with a little bit of Silver Surfer gameplay in the background. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty good champion. He's got some solid uses, very fun to play, but in terms of longevity of the game, I think he's going to get better in terms of the future, because there's a lot of new, fun and interactive damage over time debuffs that we are going to be confronted with in the game, like Shock and Incinerate, and he heals from those debuffs. And he's a very quirky champion with a few very notable matchups. So we will get into those in one. Now, Silver Surfer. Overall, as I said before, a decent champion. Nothing crazy, nothing spectacular, but he's a decent champion. If you understand his rotation and how, at least I find, the best way to play him, he can dish out some decent damage. So basically what you want to do is you want to get 2 of each Fury and Armor. And then you want to do one of 2 things. You either want to get 2 power gains and then throw a special 3, or get 1 power gain and throw a special 3. And I'll explain why you can do either one, because both of them work the same way. So here I am throwing special 3. Resets all of the buffs that Silver Surfer has, and grants him an aptitude buff, and that's very important, especially if you have him awakened, because the potency is skyrocketed. So now I have the aptitude buff, and this gameplay was recorded before I found like the perfect rotation, at least the most effective one I could find. But basically what you would want to do is you would want to let the power gain buff expire, and then generate 2 more while resetting all the other buffs, and then get into a cycle of special 1, power gain resets, special 2, wait for the power gain to fall off, reset, special 1, rinse and repeat. And I found it pretty effective. He was killing Realm of Legends champions sub 200 hits, or a little over 200 hits. He's dealing over 6,000 direct damage per combo, and mediums are critting for 4k, light attacks 2.4k, so not bad, but nothing spectacular. As you can see, special 2 here, decent amount of damage. It's what is it? I think it's 4 or 5 hits, and you can dish out some decent damage with it, but it's not what we wanted Silver Surfer to be like. We all wanted him to be this fantastic, beyond god tier, get out of the way Corvus, I'm the new king of the cosmic class, but instead he's just kind of Venom the Duck with immunities. That's really it. He has some immunities, but they're not full immunity. They're 100% resistance to, which means he can heal from willpower, which is interesting. We don't really see that in the game. I don't think many champions have that ability. They're just resistant to the 100% resistant to the ability, so they heal from it. I mean, champions like Omega Red and Old Man Logan have resistance to things like bleed, but Silver Surfer has full resistance to Cold Snap, Incinerate, and Shock. So if you have willpower and you gain one of those debuffs, you can heal from it. And this is where the pros and cons will kind of start. So big pro of Silver Surfer, very fun to play. Some of the most fun I've ever had playing a champion has been with playing Silver Surfer. As you can see, I messed up the rotation there. I was trying to go for special 1. But he's one of the most fun champions that I've ever played in this game. Very fun. Um, doesn't feel like a burden to play him. Like, oh, gotta play Silver Surfer again. No, he's a very enjoyable character to play. And I say that's a huge pro because some champions they're not fun to play, and that kinda sucks. So moving on to the next pro of Silver Surfer is the damage output. Now, yes, some will say his damage output is a little lackluster, but ah, it's hard sometimes to put it on a comparative spectrum. His damage output, I think it's all right. I think it's pretty good. As Seaton said in his tier list video, it's very comparable to Captain Marvel movie, and that's some pretty good damage. Not on the same level, but comparable. So take that with a grain of salt, as you should with all information given by opinionated YouTubers. Silver Surfer's damage output, it's okay. It's basically what I'm trying to say in just a huge, really overstated sentence. His damage output is alright. It's pretty decent. Another pro of Silver Surfer, as I mentioned before, the immunities. Very solid immunities in a very quirky way. He doesn't have legitimate immunities. He has 100% resistance, which allows for healing. So that's pretty cool. It's not the best ability in the game, but it does have its uses in matchups like the 6.4 Iceman boss. That's going to be very cool to have. Very cool Iceman. Okay, alright, that was stupid. He's going to be a pretty decent option for it. I might actually use him for that boss just because he's going to heal from Iceman's Cold Snap and not going to worry about just dying instantaneously. So there are matchups where those immunities can come in handy. Another great one is the Freezer Burn matchup. He's going to heal from both the debuffs that are applied to him, and as well as gain extra burst damage per those debuffs. So he's going to finish fights with Freezer Burn very quickly, and I feel like he's going to be one of the best, if not the best option for Freezer Burn. I know Colossus is really good for it, but he's gonna be a really solid option for Freezer Burn in the future. Other than that, he's got some quirky abilities, like on his special one, he has a buff that allows him to counter miss, as you can see right there, Vigilance. Very interesting buff. We don't have any particularly uses for it at the state of the game right now, but I feel like in the future, like I've said before, it will come in handy in some way. There's going to be some crazy champion that is going to have miss, like maybe Nova. No, Nova has auto block. No. At least we think he does. There's going to be some crazy champion in the future that has a crazy miss mechanic, and you're going to need a champ like Silver Surfer to counter him. But again, this is where the downside of Silver Surfer comes in, because that was really my pros list. Fun to play, great damage, quirky utility, and somewhat decent immunities. But here's the cons, and it's really sad that he has as many or more cons than pros, because he's freaking Silver Surfer, lads. He is the man. Silver Surfer is supposed to be this crazy cosmic being of immense power, and in the game he's just like a above average cosmic champion. There's nothing special about him. He's just kind of there. If you pull him, hey, that's cool, you got Silver Surfer, but it's nothing account changing other than prestige. But that's not why I'm making this list. He has a great prestige, so that's not the point of this. So first con of Silver Surfer is probably gonna have to say the difficulty to play. That's probably my biggest con with him. To play him effectively, or at least in the most effective way that I have found, it's kind of difficult and kind of not worth it in certain scenarios. Because you have to make sure, if you're doing the way that I'm providing, you have to wait for the power gain to expire and then use special 1 and then get to a special 2 really quickly. If you don't get to a special 2 fast enough, you have to wait with a special 1 and just hold block or keep dodging back until the power gain falls off and then power gain comes back. It's really kind of annoying to play. Sorry, I just hit my mic there. It's really annoying to play Silver Surfer a lot of the time. Now, sometimes in like freezer burn matchups, pretty simple because you're getting a lot of incinerate, so you're going to deal a lot of damage, no problem there. But for the most part, Silver Surfer, very annoying champion to play. And I wish they could fix that. I wish the buffs lasted longer, or if you used a heavy attack, it just refreshed all the buffs, no matter if you're gaining a same buff that you already had. If you're gaining the same buff that you already had one of, like if you use a heavy attack and you already have 1 power gain, but all the other buffs are at 2, it just resets all the buffs. That would make Silver Surfer, A, much easier to play, and B, a more desirable champion because of the sustainability of his damage. Right now, his damage is good, but it's not sustainable at all. Now, again, if you really master Silver Surfer's playstyle, it could work out for you, but I'm not saying any promises here. It could work, it couldn't work. I don't really know. Silver Surfer is a very difficult champion to play. Number 2, he's a prestige monkey, and now some of you may be saying, why is that a bad thing? Prestige is fantastic. Yes, I know. I personally am not in the position where I need to care about prestige, but most of the endgame community is, so I'm not going to fault them there, obviously. Prestige, more rewards in Alliance Quest, boom, whatever. But the fact that he's a prestige monkey makes him so valuable, and the fact that he's this valuable, he should live up to at least some form of hype. He should have some use. But if we're going to be realistic here, there isn't a place for Silver Surfer in most endgame rosters. So I think the con I'm trying to say is he's going to be a forgotten champion because of his lack of uses. Silver Surfer is a cool champion. He was hyped all year, and he did not live up to the hype really at all. He was kind of a super letdown. And that's really on Kabam. Nothing else to say about that. They could have made him this crazy, beyond God tier champion, but they didn't. Maybe we're all playing him wrong, but I feel like this playstyle that I've adopted is the most effective that I can find of the gameplay on YouTube and of my own personal gameplay. I just feel like he's going to be one of those champions that we forget is in the game because he didn't make an impact in his release. Now, that's happened a few times this year with champs like Elsa Bloodstone, because she was released during Comic-Con, and no one really went for her because everyone was at Comic-Con and doing all that stuff. But at least people kind of acknowledge that Elsa's in the games. People don't really care about Silver Surfer because he's just not on par to what they wanted. And that's what happens when you set expectations so high. They're either met with Doom. That's the example I would use. Doom's expectations were set so high, and at first they weren't met, but once people started to understand how you use Doom and how he was played, the expectations were met and exceeded, because Doom is one of the best Mystic champions in the entire game. Arguably the best in certain scenarios. But Silver Surfer, we had such high expectations for him, and he didn't meet really any of them. He uses his surfboard to attack the enemy. Cool. So those are my thoughts on Silver Surfer. Overall, I think he's a decent champion, but could definitely use some improvement. Thank you guys so much for watching this breakdown, guide, and review of Silver Surfer, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.